Hi guys. So, who should go to the Isha Yoga Center and what can you expect there? I've been asked by a friend. She wants to go to India with another friend of her, and they're wondering where's the best place for them to learn yoga. And so, from my experience, I only really know like a few places where I've personally learned yoga. And for me, that was enough because for me, after experiencing this kind of yoga, I knew this is like, where I need to go deeper now, not broader. What I see many people do when they learn yoga or other things in life, they try to go very broad. So they try to experiment with many different things, but they don't really go deep. And I think with yoga, this is not the best approach necessarily, because with yoga, it's, in my understanding and experience, it's all about going, deeper. So for example, in some of the yoga studios that I see around and from people that I speak to, what's happening is that they teach a lot of different practices and they want to have new things all the time and do new workshops and try out new forms. And so they always try new, but they kind of stay on the surface because you don't really go deep. The kind of yoga that I'm teaching and that I'm practicing, it's a very few set of practices, but it's all about going deeper into them. So, less can be more then. And I think that's absolutely true when it comes to this inner dimension that we try to explore in yoga. So, the place that I've learned yoga is the Isha Yoga Center in India. And it's a very unique place in my experience because it's completely, built only for that purpose. And it's also, when you come to India or any other country, there are places where, by the way, I'm in the yoga studio right now because I've been teaching a program this weekend here in Constance, an Angamardana program. So we just finished the class and I'm about to wrap up. It was a wonderful class here. It's always so, great to see people go through the program in 2 days and they struggle. They come with different challenges, but then when they go, they, you can see that they feel empowered and they take this with them. And it's the most, fulfilling thing for me to do. But what I wanted to say about, there are so many different places in the world, and some of them, they are like, you need to look into like what's the tradition of the school or the studio where you teach, where you're learning yoga. Because yoga has been passed down over the, centuries and millennia, and there have been many people who've done, they just changed it up and twisted it up to make it something new, but they didn't really have the profound understanding that a proper yogi has. Not me, but like proper yogis who actually experienced everything from the inside, and then they engineered and they built the practices around it. So always make sure you ask people. So they can tell you from their experience, because just by looking at the website you can't really figure if that's a good place or not, and unless you are there and can experience it yourself, it's hard to tell. But the Isha Yoga Center, it's a place which is completely dedicated only for growth, spiritual growth of people. And the people who have built this place, they have dedicated their lives, just for this purpose. It's a non-profit organization, and the people who live there, they are all volunteers. So they don't get paid. They just do this because they want to make it happen. And there's a lot of people who live there properly full-time who are actually monks. So they have like, committed their whole life just to pursue this growth and to be on this path, because if you want to go really deep, it requires a certain commitment day to day. And for these people, Sadhguru has offered them to become brahmacharis or monks who can then live there and be focused completely on this. So it's a place where you have people who have committed their lives to make it available to other people, and you can feel this in the energy there. You can feel this in the way it's transmitted and in the way it's offered to you, that this is something very special. And when you go through the practices, you'll realize how powerful they become. And so anybody who is seriously considering to go to India to learn yoga in a proper way, I would definitely recommend to try out Isha Yoga Center. I personally have lived there for 3 years, and I've also done my teacher training there. Teacher training is something I would only recommend to people who are really serious about, taking that next step and who want to pass it on to other people. But I would never encourage anyone to consider teacher training who is just interested in learning it for himself, or because he just wants to get like a certificate. Unless you have like this full proper commitment that you want to pass it on, and you're also willing to invest time into this, because a proper teacher training that I did was 5 months full time. So you live there for 5 months and you have day in, day out, you practice yoga and you learn how to teach. So it's nothing, that you learn like a 2-week workshop or anything. It requires a certain commitment, and it's important to understand that without this commitment, whatever you get, it will only be like a paper of certificate, but it's meaningless, because it's not the certificate that empowers you to teach. It's, a certain qualification, like an empowerment that you need, and that requires time and commitment. So I would encourage anyone to just take one of their workshops. You can start with like a 2-day workshop. They also have 21-day workshops, and you find all of their programs on their website, and just start with them. And then take it from there and try to go deep and try to have some patience. With yoga it requires a certain kind of patience. And regarding traveling to India, because these are 2 girls who are considering it, I've never really experienced anything bad in India. I've heard from other people, but I also know a lot of people are really scared because of what they read in the news. I personally don't read a lot of news because I think it's very biased. I think it's very punctual things that are pulled out. If you report on certain things that happens in a country of 1.3 billion people, of course every day something horrible is happening, but that's like a population of 15 times as big as Germany, and even in Germany worse, bad things are happening. So I wouldn't base my decision on that, but I think pretty much in any country, if you follow certain rules and you stick to certain safety measures, it's pretty safe to travel. And in India, I think it's safer than in many other places. But of course, there are certain risks, and you need to be careful. But yeah, my experience always has been great. So I hope this helps. If you guys have more questions, just leave a comment or send me an email. And make sure to hit the likes up button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. I'm uploading new videos every single week, so if you don't want to miss them, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you have any questions or comments, please make sure to leave a comment. I read them all the time and I'm really happy to read from you. And I wish you many regards from the yoga studio here. Bye guys.